This program is brought to you by the friends and partners of Elijah's Path to Healing Foundation.
This is Chapter 3, Setting Priorities. I've kind of gone over a lot of things with you, but the reality of the situation is you finally have to sit down if you decide that you want to do something. And this book is about I Can Finish Well. So it is a fitness book, but it is a different fitness book. It's about getting strong in the spirit in this area so you can be healthy and have a reason to take care of yourself, and that's just to have the abundant life with Jesus. And if this is what you want, and this can be used in any subject of your life, but if this is what you're seeking, then you need to set priorities and sit down and have a conversation with yourself and with the Lord and say, okay, this is what I want, and these are some changes I need to make. And one of them is setting priorities. Because if it's important to you, you'll do it. If it really is important to you. And, I always tell my clients, or I have a saying, that you've probably heard before, but it's begin with the end in mind. If this is what you want, this is what you see for your life, you have to start beginning with the end in mind. And you have to be thinking like that. So let's move forward on this. And it says, I'm in the book under the chapter 3 and on setting priorities. And it says, what is important in your life? And it says, those who don't make time to exercise and eat right will soon find time for illness. Now, there is some truth to that. Because if you are eating poorly and you know that you are, and you want to make changes, you know that this body can only take so much. And there are things that you can do to make things better. God is God, and we want to keep Him there, but we also want to do our part. And what our part is to do the best we can with what we have. And God will give us the grace to do it. And so the bottom line is, take the time to plan your meals. Take the time to say, hey, if this is what I want, I've got to take the time to stop. And what do I have to do to change? If all I'm doing is going from bouncing to fast food joint to fast food joint to there's got to be some changes made. So that's what this chapter is about. And it says, what is your level of commitment from 1 to 10? 10 being the highest for getting your lifestyle healthy and under control. Is this a motivation for you? And if, be honest with yourselves. Because I hope if it's a level 1 right now, I hope that we at least get to a 5 or 6 by the time this is over. But I have a feeling if you're watching this and you've decided to listen to this, that it's probably a little higher than that. And if we'll set a priority in your life right now for what is important, more than likely you'll do it if you really set your priorities. Is your health a priority? These are all questions that I need you to ponder. And I've got a little thing right here where it talks about distractions. It says distractions are not an excuse. Make an appointment to exercise and eat right and keep it. Because you are important to your job and to your family, to your friends. We only have one life to live on average. An example, a person lives, let's say they live 75 years. Well, I'm 47. So how many years? Let's just say as an example, on average, if I've got 75 years, I'm more than halfway there. What do I want to do with the last part? I have how many Christmases left? I have how many? What do I want to do with it? I'm a person that really wants to do something with my life. I've got a little boy. I just want to make sure that I'm not just living. I want to make sure that I'm doing something and just really seeing my life, seeing my son, seeing what God has for me. Even if it's just getting up and playing with my son that day, but at least I'm present. And that does make a difference. So when you're setting your priorities, there's a little list right here, and this is just an exercise to do. And it's with the number 1 being the most important, list the top 10 priorities in your life and just kind of go with it with me for a second. Just kind of list them. So just take a second and do that. And then now look at your list. It says, where's your health on your list? God obviously should be there first in your time with Him. But let me ask you something. If you put your health at the end of the list, think again. I'm speaking from experience. If you put your family before your health, you need to think again. You really do. Because you're setting an example for your family. If you're eating out and running around crazy, that's the example you're setting for your kids. So don't think you're doing them a favor if you're eating poorly and you have bad habits. Because you're teaching them those bad habits. And there is no condemnation. This is just What do we want to do with our life? This is completely a choice for you. God still loves you no matter what you do. It's just if you have a desire in your heart to do something different. That's what this is about. It says, you see, when the next few chapters, what I'm talking about, believe me, when Reed died, it affected us. It affected our finances. It affected every part of our lives. Now, could he have done anything about it? No. But there are a lot of lifestyle choices that we make in this country and around the world that we can change, and it will make a difference. And we know what those are. I hope we know what those are. And it's whether we get active or not. It's whether we eat the better choices in food or not. It's whether we spend time with our kids or not. It's whether we're making so many choices that we're so busy that we can't even get a good night's sleep at night, that maybe we need to back off some commitments. And you're the only one that when you seek God, He's going to be able to walk you through that. But this is just creating an awareness. What I want you to do, there's a second list down here. I want you to reevaluate your list. You wrote your list down. And if you say, hey, my job, everything else is more important than taking care of myself so I can be healthy. You know, this is just an example. Let me just make this an example. If you were to do cardiovascular exercise 30 minutes 3 times a week, this is just on average. Let's just say 3 times a week I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to, wherever that would be, go for a walk outside for 30 minutes 3 times a week. You know that gives you on average 3 more hours of energy a day. 3. That's 21 hours a week to have energy to do something, even if it's just playing with your kids, hanging out with them. So when I'm talking boundaries or our priorities, that's what I'm trying to say, is making these choices will give you opportunities to maybe do something that you've got in your heart that you know that you want and that you're wanting to go after. There's a reason it's there. Setting boundaries around the priorities. A boundary is something that indicates a border or a limit. And when you set a boundary and someone crosses it, it begins to affect you. It affects you. A person can lose themselves in what they believe or want for their life simply by allowing others to invade their boundaries. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you're starting to study and read the Word, or even you're starting a workout program, everything comes against it. I mean everything. Hey, go out with me to this instead of going to the gym to exercise. You have to take a stance and say, you know what? I'll go to dinner with you after I go to the gym, or go to the gym with me. It's just an example, but you kind of hopefully get where I'm going with this. You have to set boundaries around these priorities, because if they are important to you, you should have a conversation and say, this is my boundary for this priority. If this comes up, this is how I'm going to handle it. You got to think these things through if you want to accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish here. You have to settle things down and step back and say, I want to make a change. So here's the question. What boundaries do you have, and who do you need to set boundaries with in order for your priorities to remain intact? There might be that one person that you really need to take a look at. There might be that one activity that you need to say, you know, maybe I need to back off that. But that's what that section is for. It says, many people deep down in their heart want to do something for God, get healthy, and so forth, but never follow through because their priorities and boundaries are out of structure. The busyness of life can overtake us if we let it, and we will never accomplish what God has called us to do. How many of us are unsatisfied and grumpy because we never seem to get to that one goal that has been on our heart forever? It can stop right now if you take control and you stop and you just say, Lord, help me with this. I need help with this. This is what I want. How do I rearrange my life to do it? Don't try to do, like I said, any of this without Him. But this is just some things that you can do to make some changes. Step 4, going on to step 4, is about setting a goal. And it was interesting, a couple of months ago, all of a sudden I just got a new revelation about some things. And a goal, here's a definition of a goal. And I want you to write this down. It says the purpose toward which an endeavor is directed, an objective, a vision. It says there's a question, there's more questions here again. If you could do anything in the world, what would it be? Now, if you're not healthy and you're not, this is, like I said, this program's about I can finish well. And if you're not, I've just seen it so many times in the gym where people just have all these aspirations and they want to do things. but their body's not allowing them to do it, or their lifestyle's not allowing them to do it. So let's just picture whatever that goal is, or whatever that one thing is that you want to do, would being healthy help. And having this situation of eating right and exercising on a regular basis, where it shouldn't be your life, it just should be a part of it, and that's a lifestyle, and it's just part of taking care of what God had already given you, which is this miracle of the life that we have. So right here I'm saying, now that we have set priorities in our lives, we need to set goals around those priorities to make sure that we're being true to ourselves and what God has in store for our lives. There's something about writing down a goal. Writing down, hey, this is what I want to do this, I want to achieve this. But there's also godly goals. And I'm just going to read you a few of these. I wrote this a couple of months ago as I was speaking earlier. And this was for my son and I, and the goals that I have in mind for him. Because what I don't want to do is micromanage his life. I don't want to get in God's way of what he has for Elijah. And being a mom, it's so easy to try and take control and step in and micromanage everything they're doing, but there is definitely a place to step back and release them into the hands of God and let them do whatever God is calling them to do, because they have a relationship with the Father. And so some of these I'm going to just read to you. He seeks you first in area of his life, Lord. He knows you intimately as Daddy. He walks in the Spirit, not the flesh. He masters walking in love and is gentle, patient, peaceable, joyful, humble, faithful, truthful, and faith-filled. Walks in our authority you gave us. Seeks knowledge and wisdom first from you, your uncompromising word, and with prayer. Guards every word we say. Has a loving relationship with each other and a heavenly bond that is never broken. Desires things of the kingdom of God in heaven and doesn't seek things of this world. He serves God, not manna, and is giving and prosperous in all of God's ways. He knows God as his source. He knows God's word intimately and will seek and renew our mind daily and continually. He's more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. He rises up and calls me blessed. That's for me. Welcome to day 4, everyone. I'm just so proud of you. Good job. Keep up the good work. We just talked about setting goals, and I want to remind you about how we set goals. Goals are about something you can obtain. So let's not set a goal that, hey, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 days. We're going to set something that we actually can control. Setting a goal that you can control is very motivating, because you're setting something that you actually can reach. And when you reach those goals, that is some serious motivation to keep you going. And I've seen it happen time and time again. If you set something that you can do, set small goals, set small benchmarks. So this month, I'm going to work out 3 times this week. That means I'm going to do 3 workouts in this month. And that's 12 workouts. So when I get to that 12th workout, let me tell you something. The average person that lost so many inches, they lost about 12 and 24 inches in a 12 workout segment, which is 3 times a week. So what I meant by that is you're going to lose between 12 and 24 inches if you stick with it, is an example of what I have achieved over my career. It was not hard to do, and a lot of times they didn't even change their eating habits yet, which we are going to address in the near future here. But I just want to encourage you, set goals that you can obtain, set godly goals, give God the glory, and let's get started. What I need you to do, these are some 2 things that you need to get going on the resistance portion of this program. This is very important. So we've talked about cardiovascular exercise. Now we've talked about flexibility training. Now we're going into the resistance training part. Okay, so a great program, a great solid program, is where you do resistance training and you do it at a very, how do I put this, intentional level. So what that means is if you work chest, you work back. If you work bicep, you work tricep. You make sure that you don't. A lot of men, I hate to single them out, but they would love to train upper body but not lower body. You need to train the whole body, okay? Because it is the thing that carries you around. So it causes problems when you don't do that. So Keep it simple. We're keeping this all simple. I'm going to take you through a routine. This is what you need. You need a resistance band, very inexpensive to go get, and you need a fitness ball. Now, when you go to order these things, they do have them to where they can adjust to your body type, meaning your height, your weight, that whole thing, because that all factors in. So just read the labels and make sure you get what's proper for yourself, okay? Now, let me put this to the side for the moment. And we're going to start with the resistance band. What we're going to start with is back. What you want to do is start with the large muscle groups in your body, because these assist. So if these are tired before you train these, before you train this, you're going to be tired. You're not going to get the maximum benefit. So if you train your biceps before you train your back, you shouldn't do that. You should start with the large muscle groups first. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, what we're going to do is slow and controlled movements, okay? Because this, I know I'm over-exaggerating, but it doesn't do anything, okay? We want to work slow and controlled movements, so we're actually using the muscle group, the muscle tissue. You have slow and fast twitch fibers in your muscle tissue. We want to make sure that we are hitting both, okay? So what slow and fast twitch muscle fibers are is you're breaking them down to build them up. So we tear them down, we rest, and then they build up and they strengthen. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but we're going to keep moving, okay? So what we're going to do is start with back. I want you to wrap this around something. So you need to think about in your house what is not going to move on you. See how hard this is? So if you have a banister that's very stable, you want to find something that's stable so when you're pulling on it, it's not going to move, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to wrap this around. Very simple. You wrap it around. I have even some people use columns in their house. They've got small columns and things like that. So what you're going to do is posture up. It's not this. It's shoulders down and back, posture up, feet shoulder width apart so you can keep your balance. And you're going to walk either this way or this way. The reason I like resistance bands is you can change the weight of the resistance by just moving. Instead of having to change dumbbells all the time, which I'm fine with dumbbells if that's what you want to use, but this segment we're going to use the resistance bands. But you can just very easily change the resistance by walking backwards. If you need it to be harder. If you need it to be easier, walk slow, go forward. But what I usually like you to try is come back and do like one or two, kind of feel for it, okay? And then if you need it harder or easier, that's when you make your adjustment, okay? What I want you to do is slow and controlled movements, meaning when you're going one direction, the first exercise is seated row, or it's standing today. And you're going to come straight back, leading with the elbows, shoulders down and back, and pull back 1001, 1002. I'm more at my chest level than down here. Does that make sense? So up here, and then you come back down. Now, watch my shoulders. It's not this, okay? This is your trap. Right now, we're working your back. This part right here for posture. Does that make sense? You're going to come back and forward. Now, I want you to talk to you about breathing. Every time you pull back, this is the hardest part of the exercise. That's when you're going to breathe out. So you're going to go. I want you to hear that so you understand. I want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Every rep, okay, as we go. Now, when you start, I want you to do 1 set of 10. We're starting with 1 set. Because when I train people, they tell me how they're doing, but then I like to hear what their body says. So the first time you do this workout, I want you to do 1 set. See how you feel tomorrow. And if you're sore tomorrow, you're going to stick with 1 set till the next time. But if you're not sore at all, you can go to 2 sets and then 3. So what I mean by sets, here's 1 set of 10 I've just, completed. Here's 8, right? 9, 10. I'm going to rest for about 15 seconds and do another set. Now, when you get to that second and third set, because our goal is 3 sets, you're going to probably have to change the resistance because when you get to that second and third set, it's going to get harder. But you're going to be amazed how quickly you get stronger, okay? So this first exercise, again, is seated row, okay? This works the back. See my posture? My shoulders are down. Slow and controlled movement. After I've done my reps and sets, I'm going to keep this wrapped around. And what you're going to do is grab it this way, okay? Now, our back is to whatever post you've got this wrapped around. Posture up, eyes straight, don't look down, Posture straight up. Think about what you're doing to your spine. It needs to be straight up and down here. Does that make sense? Hands here. Okay? All you're going to do is push forward and breathe and back. Now, if this is too hard, what do? We back up. Okay? So how's our breathing? What's the hardest part of this exercise? It's the push. Okay? So it's this way. The pace again, 1,001, 1,002, 1,001, 1,002. This is not going to work. You're going to hurt your joints. Okay? This is not working. So you go 1,001, 1,002, and in. Now look at my posture. It's not this. Okay? I just show you a lot of mistakes that I see in the gym so you can be prepared. But it's posture up, straight up, and it's just the length of my arms. You'll see also this where they roll their shoulders forward. That's not what we're doing right now. We want to avoid injury. So this is your chest. We start with 1 set. We wait for tomorrow to see how we feel. If we go and we're fine, then we go to 2 sets and then 3. So the second day, we'll do 2 sets if we're okay, and if we're sore, we're going to wait. We're going to let our body talk to us and let us tell us how are we doing in this situation, okay? Now we're going to move on to shoulders. Now, the way you can change the resistance with these bands, either use 1 or 2 feet. This is harder. To make it not as hard, you can go down to 1 foot, and you can bring this up. Shoulders are hard. They can be. So don't be discouraged at all. I have seen it over and over again when people just, oh my gosh, it's supposed to be hard. It's okay. So here's your hands. They're right here. You're going to press up. Now, let me ask you something. If this is too hard, what could you do? You make this not as hard, right? You can grab your ball. You can sit down. Now, when you're on a ball, I want to coach you on this. This is your fit ball, right? You sit on it. If you sit on it with your feet together, you might tip over. So it's a safety hazard right now. That's kind of a safety issue. I want you to, when you sit down on it, hold on to it, feet wide, and sit down very safely. If you're a little more concerned about that, another thing you can do, put this against the wall when you're getting used to it. Wide feet, sit. It's fine, okay? But you put your foot here, if this is hard, and you put this right here. See my hands? They're right at my shoulder level, right? All you're going to do is straight up, boom, okay? If you're doing this standing, same thing. It's 1,001, 1,002, 1,001, 1,002. Watch my elbows. It's not this, okay? 1,001, 1,002. It's easy on the joints. We're using the muscle tissue right now. This has nothing to do with your skeleton. This has nothing to do with your bones. This has everything to do with soft tissue and moving, okay? All right, so it's 1,001, 1,002. We're going to move on to bicep curl. Okay, so we've worked our chest, we've worked our back, we've worked our shoulders. Now we're going to go on to bicep and tricep. Bicep is a very strong muscle with this. See how wide I'm standing? This is how you make it harder. This is how you make it easier. Okay, but what I want you to do is stand shoulder width apart. If you're needing it to not be as hard and just under 1 foot, still stand shoulder width apart, but only put it under 1 leg. Does that make sense? Okay. Feet here. Shoulders what? Down and back. Right? Shoulders down and back. It's not this, guys. It's this. Hands in front of you. See my palms? They're forward. It's not this. It's this. My elbows are into my rib cage. Okay? And it's pulling up. When do I breathe out? What's the hardest part? Down. So the hardest part is what? Up. Breathe out. And release. So it's 1,001, 1,002. Inhale and exhale. Does that make sense? Very good. Last one with the resistance band, and then I'm going to show you one exercise for abs. You're going to wrap this around. We're going to work the back of the arm, the tricep. Some people refer to it as the horseshoe. Anyway, you're going to stand very much like you stood in the first segment, or the first, not segment, but the first exercise, which was the seated or the standing row, okay? You're going to stand here. Now the difference is you're going to bend. And then my arms are straight, you're going to pull back. What you're going to do next is you're just going to bend at the elbow and press back. My hands, the palm of my hands are facing the ceiling. It's just coming here and back. So I want to show you something. Your elbow is just acting as if it's just a hinge. Does that make sense? Yeah, very good. All right, so here you go. It's breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Now, I want you to be very safe when you get in and out of exercises, so the smart thing to do, put this here and stand up. Just keep very thoughtful about where you're at, where you're standing, where your arms are at, and when you go into something, finish it, and then step out of it very safely, okay? Go ahead and release this. We're going to get your ball back. Okay, we're moving into the home stretch. We're going to start on your abs. Now, what we're going to do, we sit on the ball. Our feet are shoulder width apart. Now, the goal is, when you start doing the exercises and you start getting stronger, this also works on balance. Okay? So, you bring your legs in as you get, what? Stronger. So right now we're going to start this way. What we're going to do, we're just going to walk down. We're going to lie back. Now, if we're a beginner, this is where we start. If we're more advanced, this is where we start. So let's start here. You roll down to make it harder. That makes, okay? So here, shoulder width apart, hands behind your head. You're not gripping and ripping your neck. Your fingertips are touching the back of your head. Your eyes are on the ceiling. You're just going to go up, breathe out, and breathe down. Nice and slow up, and breathe down. You're going to do your set, and then guess what? You're going to stop. We're going to get out of this very easily. You put your hands here, keep your balance, and very slowly walk back. Guess what? You just finished day 4. This is going to be probably one of the most exciting times for you right now with the resistance training, because you're really starting to feel the movement. You're really starting to feel those muscles do something. And we're just getting started. There's so many things we get to do. I got so many exercises. It's going to make your head spin, but only in due time. Okay? So this is Tracy Boone. I'm signing off, and I will see you on day 5.
Hi, this is Tracy Boone, and I just am asking you to prayerfully consider, I want you to ask the Lord to consider becoming a partner with us. It's called the James 1:27 Partnership Program with Elijah's Path to Healing Foundation. We have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of vision ahead of us, and I am praying God is providing all of our needs. And so I just feel led to ask each and every one of you to prayerfully consider to be a part of this. We have a big vision coming to pass this next year in 2020. And I just want you to prayerfully consider it. And with that, with our partnership, you get to become a part of our daily prayer Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 7, Monday through Friday. And it's a live prayer call where I do some teaching, or I have guests on that do teaching, and we lift up your prayers personally. And lives are being changed, and people are bringing forth their prayer time together, and community is forming. And so you get to be a part of it. So again, prayerfully consider it. And I just thank you for watching.